over the past 10 or 15 years, many students have, gone through the finance and business degrees, thinking that was really going to be, the wave of the future. And I'm curious to know if you guys are seeing an increase in applications and roll call of students that are entering the different energy programs that you guys have at the university and ultimately the institute.
Yes, definitely. We're seeing actually two things. Not only an increasing number of students with an interest in pursuing a career in energy efficiency, environment, and related areas, but we're also seeing much brighter students and much more highly motivated students. In fact, the energy and passion that the students bring to this field, I'm just overwhelmed with. It's amazing. We have a series of what we call energy leadership lectures, where we bring in high-level people, people like Tom Friedman, for example, and Steve Koonin, the Undersecretary for Science at DOE. The students just, they not only pack the rooms, and we're talking about a room, of 800 or 1,000 people, but we often organize smaller Q&A sessions also. They just have the most sophisticated questions that they throw at our speakers, and that's a really encouraging phenomenon, in my opinion, that there's no lack of interest in this field among students today, and it's not only drawing numbers, but it's also drawing, I think, some of the brightest students, which is really, really critically important.
And what do you guys do as an institute to make sure that these interest levels stay high?
Actually, that's a real interesting question. I mean, we keep pursuing new sources of funding. That's one thing. We keep the dialogue going also. We find that it's really important to keep the information flow by bringing in speakers, as I said, by holding these workshops, the annual summit meeting. Basically, we try to create a critical mass of activity where people feel that we're really moving towards solutions, not just, picking around the edges, but that we have, and our institute encompasses some, 70 or 80 faculty plus hundreds of students. So it has a real critical mass, and because it's cross-campus, we involve, I think it's 4 different colleges and 10 different departments of the university. It gets us out of this whole problem in universities, which I'm sure you've heard too, of stovepiping, where everything is sort of focused around just the traditional disciplines in the department. We bridge those in a very nice way by focusing on the issues, challenges in the science, the engineering, the policy, and in the education also. That brings, multidisciplinary groups of people together with complementary, but different but complementary perspectives and expertise. And that's the real value of having an institute of this kind. One of the neat things we do with our undergraduate students is what we call a research internship in energy, and that's a really special opportunity. Usually students in their either junior or senior year will spend time in one of the research faculty's laboratories doing a project, and then they write it up and they give a talk about it, and they even go to conferences, and in some cases even write papers based on it. That really is an eye-opener for a lot of students in this field and really motivates them enormously. But then also to keep them abreast of current activities, we bring in a whole slew. I mean, once a week we have a seminar. We bring in a speaker from outside the university to talk on some aspect of the research or the policy or something that's going on in the field, and those are very well attended, and and are a great source, not just for the students, but for the faculty to keep abreast of this, because as I'm sure you know, this field is, to get your arms around it, sometimes you feel as though you're drinking from a fire hose, right, in terms of the total amount of activity. It's a very challenging task, so it really helps, again, to have the Institute to guide that process of, bringing people in, exposing students and faculty to new things that are going on, and then in this, also this special series that I mentioned to you of these energy leadership lectures, that has the same impact. And we also, for example, Steve Chu, the Secretary of Energy, is an old friend of mine, and I invited Steve in. He came in and spent a half day with us a few months ago also, and that was really nifty because he's as totally committed to moving this country in a new direction with regard to energy, and it was really inspiring for everybody just to hear firsthand from him in terms of his views. Well, right now we need, first of all, for California to figure out its financial problems, because that's really a major challenge for the University of California. Most of the states are either broke or close to it, and California is in really bad shape in that regard, and it's really hurt our ability to to have some of the flexibility to maintain some of the things that this university is really good at doing, and so I think that's really important. I don't know if that's going to happen soon or not. We're hoping that some progress will be made, but it's right now they're still battling it out in Sacramento, the state budget, and hopefully the university will get a somewhat better deal this year than it has in past years. But there are 10 campuses of the University of California system, and it took half a century to build it up to be a really world-class public university system, and a lot of people are really concerned that unless it's sustained, it'll really hurt the state in the long term and be very foolish. So we have a concern about that. That's one of the major really concerns that we have.
Why do you do what you do?
Because I love it. I actually flunked retirement. I was retired. I had finished up being president of this foundation I mentioned to you, which was a lot of fun. I did that for 7 years. And then I retired and said more often, I think I want to, hang up my hat. At the time I was 68, and I retired. Boy, I lasted 6 months, and I was itching to do something, and I always wanted to do something in the energy field. And so the opportunity came up at UCSB. I said, hey, that sounds like a really nifty way to spend my retirement. So that's what I'm doing. Basically, this is my working retirement, if you will.